the media, and the mob. A patriotic grandfather was gunned down in cold blood last weekend here in my adopted home state of Colorado. Lee Keltner was a minister and biker who loved the Rocky Mountain West. The 48-year-old entrepreneur made cowboy hats for a living. Lee Keltner's brutal killing took place after Antifa and Black Lives Matter thugs targeted conservatives leaving a peaceful rally called the Patriot Muster in Denver. A local anti-cop agitator named Jeremiah Elliott had harassed attendees all afternoon. He was trailed closely by Denver Post photographer Helen Richardson in a bright orange press vest. Watch carefully as Richardson, on the left side of the screen, hurries into position before Elliott instigates, and then watch as they walk away together before Elliott picks another fight captured by Richardson.
All I want is one of you.
Okay. Who cares? Who cares? Right? Who cares?
Come on.
Grow up. Sorry.
As the last few Patriot Muster attendees headed to their cars, Elliott engineered one final unhinged confrontation with shooting victim Lee Keltner.
Show me. Show me that. Touch me. Touch me one more time. We'll get it. Next person. Makes me. Makes me, brother. Come up to me. Makes me.
On Thursday, the Denver District Attorney's Office filed second-degree murder charges against Keltner's accused killer, Matthew Doloff.
Matthew Doloff will be charged with second-degree murder. He is accused of killing Lee Keltner at the time. Doloff was working as a security guard for a 9 News crew. Now, if convicted, Doloff would face between 16 and 48 years in prison.
Yeah, you heard that right. Doloff was working for Denver's local NBC affiliate, the notoriously liberal 9 News, as a security guard. He was purportedly hired through the Pinkerton Security Agency. Shockingly, Doloff was one of 5 unlicensed security guards working illegally for 9 News in the Colorado capital. Even more shocking, Doloff is a left-wing, former Occupy Denver agitator whose menacing anti-Trump social media posts were readily available to any amateur internet sleuth. The ubiquitous agitator in the middle of it all, that Jeremiah Elliott, claims he didn't know Doloff or 9 News. But the station generously invited him on its airwaves Thursday night to promote his GoFundMe and to play victim.
Let me ask you a basic question to begin with here. How are you doing, man?
I've been getting a lot of threats from far right-leaning groups.
You mentioned the GoFundMe also. Is there a GoFundMe that we should share?
Yeah. So I've started a safety fund, Jeremiah Elliott Safety Fund.
Yeah, well, here's what 9 News didn't want you to know. Elliott was caught on tape gloating profanely about Lee Keltner's murder just seconds after it happened.
One less white supremacist. Yeah. Why you the dog?
Here's what else 9 News didn't want you to know. Elliott helped instigate a July riot in front of the Aurora, Colorado police station, leading Antifa Black Bloc militants who violently trashed the station that night.
Say his name! Say his name!
As for Helen Richardson, the mob glamour shots photographer at the Denver Post, video shows her expressing great concern not for the dead victim Lee Keltner, but for an unidentified person she called my guy who was detained on Saturday.
Stay back, stay back.
I'm just trying to find out where they're taking my guy.
My guy. Who's your guy? Well, can't ask her on social media because last week, Richardson deleted her entire Twitter account and she turned her Instagram private. But not before a social media user captured one post of hers celebrating a peaceful, her words, BLM George Floyd march in Denver. Never mind that Denver's downtown has become such a dangerous war zone for journalists and citizens alike precisely because of BLM and Antifa violence, not because of Trump supporting law and order patriots. Colorado Republican congressional candidate Casper Stockham, who was harassed by Jeremy Elliott last Saturday at the Patriot muster and who heard the shots ring out as Doloff shot Lee Keltner dead, perfectly sums up the bias of the media when it comes to mob violence.
Had this shooting been the other way around, there'd be nonstop 24-hour coverage of it. There would be protests and rioting in the streets right now. Now, we have been in the streets, but not rioting and protesting. We've been trying to keep this story alive because they're trying to bury it.
That's for sure. What happened last Saturday in Denver was a media-enabled, politically driven assassination. But you wouldn't know about it at all if you only got your news from the dinosaur TV networks or liberal rags like the New York Times or Washington Post. The media is AWOL on this story because the media itself is a willing accomplice to left-wing mob violence. Their silence is complicity.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV because we're real news for real people.